Hey, ladies. Welcome back to the Curate for Women Network, also known as Completely Unconfused. Today, we are in for a special treat. We are here with the powerhouse, Dr. Pamela Lewis. Hi, Dr. Pam.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here with me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Yay. Okay, so Dr. Pam is an OBGYN. She's a mom, she's a wife, and she is a truth teller, okay? Whether y'all ready for it or not. All right. So I'm excited. All right, so Dr. Pam, I always like to start these episodes with an icebreaker. What is the wildest, most ridiculous myth you've ever heard from a patient? Because I know that people just be talking.
I can't even remember probably the wildest because I literally just backed that stuff to the back of my mind because literally people say the craziest things. Like, I would either say they're wondering if sex is going to hit the baby in the head. And I hate to tell that man that they're not reaching that far up. They're just not. Or, it's a lot of the normal, like, I lift my hands above my head. A lot of people think that they cannot do that because
Why?
they think that the umbilical cord is going to wrap around the baby if they do that. Or people think that if they eat spicy foods, it's going to blind the baby. But every now and then if I sleep with somebody else, other than my baby's father, is that gonna do something to this baby? It's wild. It's wild out here.
I bet you hear all kind of stuff.
But I keep your secrets. I keep your secrets.
Oh, by law. The people really think that if they have sex while they're pregnant, that the baby gonna have like a hole in their
Yes, they think that the penis is going to constantly like cause trauma to the baby's head, and I'm like.
Where do you think people get this from? Where do you think the myths come from?
Sometimes I really think they just make it up. It's just a lack of the true knowledge. Mm-hmm. And so then sometimes fear. Mm-hmm. Fear has people making up myths. And sometimes things just get passed down, mm-hmm. And so, I'm not correcting your grandmother because I'm not getting told off. So I'm just like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, because your grandmother was probably trying to figure out how you ended up so dumb. It probably happened from that.
I didn't say that.
I'm kidding.
I didn't say that.
All right, so take us back, Dr. Pam. Where did you grow up? What type of kid were you? What type of stuff were you into?
So I'm from St. Francisville, mm-hmm. and I grew up in a community in St. Francisville called Solitude. Mm-hmm. Right. As a child, raising my daughter now, she reminds me so much of me. I was like, I wouldn't sit still. I always wanted to talk. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be in everything. And my mother had a rule: you couldn't say that you were bored in our house. Like, she was a teacher and they didn't play that. My mom and daddy, it's enough for you to do here where you ain't bored. And so I wanted to be a doctor. Mm. And I knew that very early on. And one Saturday morning, my mama said I was bored. And I'm dating myself. She said, go get the M encyclopedia and read it.
The M,
because that was big. Some of the letters were too big that they got broken into two.
Yes.
But the M was big, but it was in one.
Got it.
And she was like, go get the M encyclopedia.
Got it.
And I read about Meharry Medical College. And it kind of like even fueled even more of why I wanted to be a doctor. And I wanted to go to this medical school that was made for black people.
Yes. Did you go to Meharry?
I did not. But I did not. But it was still one of those things that kind of pushed that spark even more because I was bored and my mom and them didn't play that.
So your parents were educators?
Yes, they were both teachers. My mom taught math for 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. And my dad taught at the vocational or the technical school growing up.
So what is that like growing up with teachers?
I embraced it. My mother taught at my high school. So I got the privilege of in high school, seeing her every day. She did not teach me, but I took a class right beside hers.
Oh, that is kind of cool.
Going, eating lunch with her. I don't necessarily say that it was annoying, but there was always a different expectation for me There was. Getting in trouble. It was like, okay, we're going to call your mama down. And so for me to stop teaching my class and I got to come down here, yeah, there were different expectations.
Did not get in trouble a lot?
Enough.
Well, first of all, because when I see you, you seem like the woman that just is like, I don't play no games. And I assume that you get that from your mama. And so
Yes.
being in school with somebody like you, I'd imagine I'm going to come here with my mind right because I don't want to deal with this lady.
But, kids don't always grasp that. And so sometimes they want to test it. And
especially high school. Did your mom teach at any of your other schools, or was she always a high school teacher?
she was always a high school math teacher.
Okay.
And our community was very small. So when I was in school, we had an elementary school that was kindergarten through 6th grade. And then 7th and 8th went to school at the high school, but just on a different side for our junior high, and then 9th through 12th. So I started at the school with my mom when I was in 7th grade.
Got it. Was there anybody who helped you see the power in Black people in medicine?
Absolutely. So my godfather was actually a hospital administrator at our hospital in West Feliciana Parish. He actually was just recognized during Black History Month as the first administrator.
Oh,
and he
sweet.
made it a point to try to hire Black doctors in our community. And so, of course, my pediatrician was not a Black woman, but I always wanted to be like her. But when he hired Dr. Twiggy Harris, she was medicine and pediatrics. I was able to work with her, shadow her, and it definitely made a different impact of like, oh, this is different, because up until then, I had not been personally exposed to seeing a Black doctor. My parents' doctor was a Black doctor, but she was not a pediatrician. So getting to see Dr. Harris, work with her, it was different. It was a different feel of, oh, there was Dr. Pad, who was a white doctor, had influenced me a lot. But then Dr. Harris, it was just that different vibe. Also because I was old enough to know race.
Yes.
As a kindergartner looking up to your doctor, I didn't get it. But by the time I met Dr. Harris, I was probably in junior high. And so it started to click a little bit because unfortunately, by that time, you understand race, you understand racism, you understand representation and how much that matters. So she was very instrumental in always saying, yes, you can do this. And whether she said it openly, it was seeing her do it, was her saying that I could do it.
How did you know at such an early age that you wanted to be do you remember the age you were?
I was
when
5.
you said, okay, so what happened?
I went to the doctor and I just knew, like, going to the doctor, I left differently. Like, I was sick, and even before I got the pink medicine, like, I just felt like I was gonna feel better. And it clicked to me, that's what I wanted. I wanted people to leave me differently than they came. I wanted that anticipation of, I'm gonna show up at this office and she's gonna help me. And I grew up saying, I wanna be like Dr. Pat. I wanna be like Dr. Harris. I want to help people. I want to give them that feeling of, you feel better.
Yes. So how did you choose to be an OB?
I don't really feel like I chose OB. I feel like OB chose me. I went to medical school wanting to be a pediatrician, and I think part of that is that's what I was exposed to. I had not seen an OB early in my life for anything. And when I got to my clinical rotations in 3rd year, I told my friends, I said, tell me when I'm happy. Because I don't want to choose a field because I've always said I want to do it. I want to do what I'm happy doing.
Got it.
And of course, everybody loves that like excitement of delivering their first baby. And so of course that was fun, of course. But I enjoyed taking care of women of many ages. And I can remember the first time I said out loud to someone, there was a patient when I was doing my rotation. I actually take care of her now. She said, she came for her well woman exam, and she was probably late 50s, early 60s. And she was like, you're pretty good at this. What you think you want to do? And I said it out loud. I said, I think I want to do this. I said, you get to see young women. You get to watch them through their pregnancy. You watch them grow through their life, through changes in their life.
Yeah.
I said, I think I want to do this. And she said, write my number down. And I wrote it down on some work that I had to study. Mm-hmm. And that work stayed in my sister's house. That's where I was living for a while. And probably my 3rd year in practice, she came to see me. And she said, you don't remember me. And I started looking, and I looked at her name because her name was written with the phone number. And because I would study it, I would see it. And I was just like, she said, you took care of me. I said, oh my God. Since then, I have delivered 5 of her great-grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
I take care of her, two of her daughters, 2 of her granddaughters. I mean, I love her. Oh. And that is part of the reason why I like obstetrics. Yes, I like delivering babies.
Yeah.
But I like taking care of families over a time.
Yeah.
So I take care of a grandmother, her mother, her daughter, their daughters, delivering their babies, and I watch them. I've gotten to watch women go through it all. Like I had a patient who I was like, I don't really think this relationship is for her.
Yeah.
And when she came back a few years later, divorced, I was like, I'm happy for you. And I get to see her in a new relationship.
Yeah.
And so I did not realize how much this field sucked me in.
Yeah.
And so back to choosing it, my friends would say, you worked longer on obstetrics, but you were happy.
So one of my questions for you is, and I actually think about this often with doctors, is like, how do you create that balance when you become so close to your clients? How do you create those boundaries where they understand, like, you're my patient and I love you, but we're not friends? Or is that even a thing? Do you really become friends?
Do. I have patients that I am their friends.
Friends, yeah. Because, I mean, you've taken care of the most intimate part of their bodies.
I think it has a lot to do, too, with time, age, space.
Yes.
Some of those things. And I take care of all of my patients like, what if you were my mother?
Yes.
What if you were my sister, my aunt, and at this point in my life now, my daughter?
Yes.
And it's hard to not feel like you're going to have somewhat of a connection. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you just connect so deeply with people that you're like, you know what, girl, we're going to hang out.
Yeah, and we do. I think that this is so cool because I don't know if I ever said this to you. So Dr. Pam is my OB. Prior to coming to you, I had 2 OBs. I had my very first was, it was a foreign lady. And the second one was a white guy. And they weren't doing anything wrong. They were actually amazing doctors. But I remember telling my friend, I'm like, I need a black OB, specifically a woman. And I don't know how I came across you. I don't know if somebody said, but you were the very first OB that I've ever came in contact with that made me feel completely comfortable. Because, when you're sitting on that table and y'all like, all right, spread your legs. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And I feel like, I think I saw my first OB when I was 17. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is just, and it's like, it never gets comfortable until you meet the right person. And so what's your superpower? What is your trick? How do you get people to just relax and open their legs?
Well, I don't say open your legs. I'm very intentional.
I can't say that.
I try not to say spread your legs. I'm very much of a let your knees fall apart. Mm-hmm. It just sounds so much better. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I always try to be me. Mm-hmm. And I try to be the same person that you're going to see in the grocery store. If you see me at the mall, if you see me with my family, I try to talk to you not like, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Mm-hmm. I'm going to introduce myself as that because that's who I am. And I do feel like we need to establish that level of respect.
Right.
But I still want to talk to you before we get to the home run of the exam, that you feel comfortable enough with me that okay, I'm just talking to my homegirl. We shooting it up. I'm telling you, your hairdresser, your bartender, your OBGYN, we know your business.
Yeah.
And so, but we've usually talked about some of those things to
Yeah.
feel that comfort level of where you're from, you know, who are you with, what did you do, and to like, okay, well, we cool enough for us to say, let your knees fall apart.
Spread your legs. Okay, so we hear a lot about like the why behind somebody's career, but who were the women, the patients, or the mentors who showed up for you from the beginning and now in your career?
Well, of course, my mother, because whether it is my career or not, she's always supported me. And so to be able to do something this difficult, you need support.
Yeah.
Hands down, my mother is always my best cheerleader, my biggest supporter. Will drop everything when I'm in med school and say, hey, I'm coming to cook for you. I'm coming to wash your laundry. So number one, her. Number two, like I stated, my pediatrician. I've had points in my life where I was like, I'm ready to quit med school. To the point my mom was like, I don't know what to do with you no more. She called my pediatrician. I am still in contact with her just to remind me that we can keep doing this. I met some guys in medical school, in undergrad, who we realized that our undergrad advisor at a PWI was not looking out for us. So they pulled me to the side and was like, this is the classes you need to take, this what you need to do, this what you need to get involved in to get into medical school, because
Yeah.
that man wasn't worried about us.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they definitely helped me on the path of how is this black girl supposed to get into medical school from this PWI where our pre-med advisor is not concerned. Once I got into medical school, I definitely had to find people who looked like me. So there were our lack of whatever words they're calling it, our minority affairs office was very open to us. They basically.
Where did you go to school?
I went to medical school at LSU in New
Okay.
Orleans.
Okay.
And so that office enveloped us. They embraced us. They taught us about community within us among the 4 years of medical school classes.
Yeah.
So that we could know who can we reach out to a year ahead of us, 2 years ahead of us to say, hey, help me with this section of work that y'all did last year. How do I grasp this? So that helped me a lot through medical school. During residency, I struggled. Then people broke me down because
Where did you do your residency?
same place, LSU in New Orleans, but they were like, this whole, I was truly labeled angry black woman because my attitude didn't fit their program. And so it's just like, everything I did was like, no, you're just angry, you're this. And so as an intern, I had a fourth year resident, Dr. Lanasha Tanner, who would just pull me to the side. And she's like, this is what you got to do. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I'm just like, this is just how we talk. And she was like, but no. So it was the power of code switch.
Yeah.
The power of, say it with a smile. And, after that, by my fourth year, we had another program director come in, Dr. Florencia Polite, who is not from here. And I think having a perspective of a black woman who is not from the South is very different because we are unfortunately so used to the level of racism here. We just adapt. And so she's not. And so she knows it's there, but she's like, we're not gonna tolerate this. And so it just kind of gave me that different perspective. And I can still to this day call her as a mentor and be like, Rennie, I'm going through this. And she's like, okay, Pam, we're gonna do this, this, and this. Because it doesn't matter how far you get in your career, you still need some help.
Yeah.
Once I joined a practice, I really found a surgical mentor, Dr. Renee Harris. She was one of my previous partners. I thought she was an amazing surgeon. And I readjusted my schedule to operate with her.
Oh, wow.
And just to learn from her, it was worth it. And so I feel like all of those people have definitely helped me so much along the way. There are many more, but just really to kind of fine tune my skills, my attitude, my language, how to deal with people on a daily basis.
Did you ever think that you would have to consider all those things going into medicine?
Oh, God, no. I really just thought I'm going to show up and take care of people.
Yeah.
And it's so much more than that.
Yeah. there's so much to consider about bedside manner that you don't even think about. But what I also think is interesting is like doctors teaching other doctors how to have good bedside manner, because I'm like, many of them don't. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, you know, this is God's grace by having good nurses, because then the nurses could be your buffer. I feel like everybody needs a buffer. Everybody needs an advocate. Everybody needs someone who can come in and kind of give what I don't really have the capacity for, because I'm consistently seeing people. I'm consistently researching what's happening with your body. And so let's talk about that, like the research of medicine, because it's forever evolving.
It is. It's changing a lot.
And so how do you keep up with that?
As OBGYNs, we have to do certifications every year. We do maintenance of certifications. So certain articles that we have to read, there are certain journals that we keep up with. And there are other smaller projects that may be out there that I am a part of that really kind of help us do kind of just CME, continuing medical education. And so that's what we do. And if there are things that I run into and I'm not familiar with, you know, I look it up on trusted sources, up to date. Again, the American College of OBGYNs puts out up to date material. The CDC, when it is available to us.
Yep.
So it is, I think it is important that we as practitioners and physicians realize how quickly medicine is evolving, so much quicker than it used to.
Yeah.
And to stay up on it. And when people, it's also patients. When patients bring me things and like, have you heard of this? I don't discredit that.
Yeah.
Because just because they may have heard it on Google or TikTok, okay, well, fine. Let me look for some reputable sources to see, is this a thing? Because I'm not all knowing, you know, I am not God. I don't know all the things. I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So I am willing to take that information. I'll usually just say, I don't know,
Yeah.
but let me look it up. Let me call some people. Let me see what research we can do.
Yeah. So you are definitely in a field where everybody needs you, right? You are also really, really good at what you do. And so, but there's this additional pressure of being a Black OB, especially in Baton Rouge. And so your schedule is like, y'all, if you looking for her, she ain't looking for you, okay? She's unavailable. She's not taking new clients or new patients, and she's hoping that it is temporary, okay? I'm giving
Well,
y'all.
let's rephrase that. Pregnancy patients, they turn over. So I'm taking new pregnancy patients.
New pregnancy patients.
But, you know, like I said, I hope that is temporary because I made that decision to make sure that I can get my current patients in. I never want the patients who've been with me for the last 12 years to be like, I'm leaving just because I can't ever get in. That's
Yeah.
not what I want. I want to still remain loyal.
But let's talk about the pressure of all of that. Because there are plenty OBs. There are plenty people that, you know, plenty other doctors, but I refuse, right? I'm not going nowhere else. I'm going to wait. If I got 2 years, that's when her next appointment is, I'm going to wait. That's a bit dramatic, but let's talk about like the pressure of you being that person that we really rely on for our health, something that is really important to us, whether we're pregnant or not.
Well, I do, again, want to say thank you for saying that because I don't necessarily always see myself that way. I see it through the schedule. But I tell people, you know, number one, I'm not for everybody.
Yeah.
I know you say I'm a truth teller. Everybody don't like that. I always say I ain't Willy Wonka. I don't sugarcoat shit. That doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
But sometimes the not sugarcoating comes differently from us.
Yeah. Yes.
It comes differently from us. It comes differently when it's like, I'm really just telling you this because I'm trying to save your life.
Yeah. And we need that.
There is an immense pressure. I try to educate people, even sometimes through social media. I'm not always on social media, but I may say, how can I educate people who cannot come to see me?
Yeah.
What are the things that you should look for in someone else? What are the things that you can ask your physician? The pressure, I basically have had to say, let me get this to God.
Yeah.
Let me say, you know, Lord, you've increased my territory to the point that that's where it is.
Yeah.
Because I want to give quality care, not just quantity of care.
Yes.
And, you know, to just remind people, these are the things that you need to ask if you're seeing someone else.
Yeah.
And And that's how I've tried to back away the pressure so much from myself, that I can only do so much.
Yeah. So you talked about like different mentors and people that you've had to teach you how to speak better, how to show up better, how to just be more gentle in your job. Now that you've been doing this for how long?
13 years in private practice now.
So you've been 13 years and now you're in private practice. Do you feel like you still have to show up differently in spaces? Or can you show up more as Pam?
I think I have truly learned to reel myself in a little, because I can admit that, yeah, I was a little rough around the edges. And so to say show up differently, I still show up as me.
Yeah.
But me has changed.
Yeah.
I have changed. The me that is showing up as Pam gets to be a different me, a different Pam than I was 13 years ago. But I'm still, I mean, you're going to get me. And, you know, I tell people sometimes there's a difference between Dr. Lewis and Pam. And you usually don't really want to see Pam come out because...
At least not here.
Yeah. I like to really be Dr. Lewis at work. But I think that I have, for lack of a better term, curated a space for myself that I do get to be myself, which is why my schedule is full, because people want somebody who's just going to be who they are with them. I'm not faking it in the office and being somebody different. This is who I am. This is who you get. And you either appreciate that or you don't. Yeah,
this is how we get stuck with you forever and ever. Amen. Because I'm like, no, tell me what do I need to know? I remember after having Rossi, I didn't realize what postpartum depression was. And I always talk about that moment where you walked into the office and you just asked me, are you okay? And I was like, what you mean? And you were like in general, are you okay? And I think you may have seen something on me that you've never seen before. And you gave me an assessment, and it turned out that I was severely depressed after Rossi. And I think that you were able to walk me through that in a time where I didn't have a therapist, where I couldn't afford a therapist. But you gave me practical next steps on here's how you can still be a great mom and show up and be who people need you to be. And so I think that that's important to have doctors who not only can speak medical jargon, because we also need to understand what's happening with our bodies, but can just see you as a woman and say, I'm here for you, and here's what you need to be here for yourself. I still get teary-eyed when I think about that moment when you walked in there and asked me that. I waited for you to walk out of the office, and then I literally fell to tears, and I was like, nobody even asked me that before I walked into your office. And I want to say Rossi had to be like 3 months, maybe, I don't know, 4 months, but it was rough. And nobody had asked me, are you doing okay? So thank you.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about marriage and motherhood. First of all, where did you meet your husband, and how did you get him to talk? But for real, where did you meet your husband?
Okay, so my husband and I met 2 different places.
Okay.
One in Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
But the real truth is my husband and I met on MySpace.
Okay.
So there really is not too much to have to talk at that point.
I was like, yeah, people don't talk in Barnes and Noble.
No. My husband is very quiet and introverted, and I guess so. I was living in Baton Rouge at the time because Hurricane Katrina happened in med school, so we moved back here, and I had a little bit more free time than I was used to. So I was on MySpace, and this guy, you read his profile and all that stuff. So I reach out, I'm like, hey, I'm in Baton Rouge. What is there to do? And he listed off Thursday night club rags.
Oh.
He listed a calendar, and I was thinking,
rags. I knew I could have gone my whole life thinking that man ain't never seen club rags.
Now, I mean, he was 23, maybe, maybe 21. I was 23, something like that. So I'm like, in my mind, that really wasn't what I was thinking. But okay, thank you for the calendar of events.
Did he know that you were you in medical school?
I was.
Okay.
I was a 3rd or 4th year medical student.
Okay.
4th year medical student. And so, no, he did not know that at the time. He
that's
caught the drift after, I was like, well, thank you for the calendar of events. And then he finally circled back and was like, or you could hang out with somebody, go to the movies, blah, blah, blah. So we set up a date. We went to Barnes & Noble. Our first date was technically truly the movies, which you don't have to talk that much then.
Okay, so wait. So you shot your shot by reaching out to him on MySpace,
Yes.
and then he hit reverse Uno, like, well, you could go
Right. It took
somewhere
a little
with
while of
somebody.
me not responding because I was like, I ain't really want to go to Club X.
What?
I could have looked on continuousevents.com.
Right.
That's how long ago it was.
Continuous Events.
Yes.
Okay,
I could
yeah.
have looked there for that type of schedule.
Yeah.
So we met, we hung out, we
Mm-hmm.
really got to know each other. He is quiet, introverted, very different from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we just gelled. I did not tell him probably maybe 2 months in. I told him
Mm-hmm.
that I was working at the hospital.
Mm.
And that was enough. He was fine with that. And
Mm-hmm.
we were probably 3 or 4 months into the relationship. And I was like, by the way, I'm going to be a doctor.
Okay.
And he was like, great, you don't need no spousal support from me. It never was a like, oh, how could I get something from this? He was just like, good, let me protect me.
Yeah.
You're not trying to get nothing from me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, bet.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay, so how long have y'all been together? How long were y'all dating before you got married?
We dated 4.5 years.
Okay.
I think he proposed like 3.5 years in, and so we had a long enough engagement. We got married 6 months after I started private practice. So we have been married now 13 years as well.
And so because he's so introverted, did he propose to you by himself, or was there like a
We
huge deal?
were camping. We went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So we had taken a few vacations, and I had decided this was my last vacation as a girlfriend. I was like,
'cause you got
I
me
didn't
messed
tell
up.
him because I never wanted to give him an ultimatum.
But in your mind, you like, you got me
This is
messed
it.
up. Yeah.
This it. I'm not about to travel around the world with my boyfriend no more. This it. And I had packed all of our stuff together and didn't see no ring. We had gone ring shopping like probably 10, 12 months before. So I was like, well, whatever. And
You know what I like. Quit playing.
we mapped out our trip in Gatlinburg, and we had a couple of hiking trips planned. And they said, oh, well, this one is nice. It's Laurel Falls. There's a waterfall at the end. And so we get to this waterfall, and he's like, this it? Well, let's just keep. It was very uneventful. You know, it was like we thought we was taking this hike for something good. And so he's like, well, let's just keep walking. So I have on a backpack, and he taps me as we keep walking. He was like, let me get some water out of the backpack. So I stop. And so I turn around, and he is on his knee. And I'm like, oh my God. And he goes, stop screaming for all these white people think I'm trying to kill you.
Because we're in the woods.
Because we are in the woods. And so for that, Gatlinburg is always a special place to us.
Oh my gosh. And Gatlinburg is so beautiful.
It's beautiful.
What time of year was this?
June. It was a June vacation.
Okay. I was about to judge him, sir. What, you got me out here camping in the wintertime?
I chose that vacation.
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
him. It was me. We did all the things. And it has been...
Do you think he knew that he was getting to his last trip with you as his girlfriend? Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I didn't say it. I never wanted to feel like I gave him an
Pressure
ultimatum.
him. Yeah.
No, I was like, if he wants to marry me, I want him to marry me because he wants to.
Yeah. Well, how did you know you wanted to marry him? What was it?
When I met him, I prayed a different prayer. I had been through some relationships, and I was like, Lord, don't let me hurt him.
Oh.
And don't let him hurt me.
Okay.
And that was my prayer every morning. And I was like, and if we get to the point that we're going to hurt each other,
Let us
remove us.
Yeah. Oh.
And I did not meet him with intentions to marry him. I was like, I'm fourth year. This man is fine. Let's just kick it and see what happens. But
Let
that
me
was my
slide
prayer.
into his DMs
That
real
was my
quick.
prayer every day. Like,
Okay.
just not let me hurt him. And
Yeah.
it just was comfortable. It was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was not a relationship that took stress. And I was unfortunately used to some stressful relationships.
Yeah.
And I didn't have intentions to stay here for residency, but God always works. And he took trips with me.
Because you were supposed to be a Meharry.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be in Tennessee.
Right. He
Yeah.
took
Is Meharry
some
in Tennessee?
different, yes.
Oh, okay.
He took trips with me when I went to interview, and he was like, yeah, I could see myself traveling to do this with you. He had no intentions of a long distance relationship, he told me later, but he was like, I'm not going to be the person to hold you back. And I think somewhere along the lines, you know how everybody feels that you're the person I call first when there's good news, you're the person I call first when there's bad news. It just evolved into I'm safe. Like, I just felt very protected.
Yeah.
and safe. And I didn't always have that. And that was the thing for me.
Yes. Like, oh man, please, I hope he proposes. This is my husband.
Or it's not.
Okay.
If he didn't, I was like, the Lord got something. I'm the prize.
Yeah.
And somebody gonna get this prize,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna sit here waiting.
Yeah. But to be honest, and to never have that feeling and to have it, it's like, Lord, please let this be him, like let my desires align with your will. Because sometimes that's my prayer. Sometimes I'm like, Lord, please allow my desires to align with your will.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to do my own thing, right?
Yeah.
But this would be really nice if this is a yes for me.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so then y'all became parents.
We did.
And then was it still easy?
No.
Okay.
It became difficult. Goodness, it became difficult very fast.
Yeah. How quickly were y'all parents?
We got married in 2011, and so my child was born in 2014. So we intentionally wanted a little bit of time
to be married
to each other, but also I'm like, these eggs getting old.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, you should have married me sooner. That's always my joke. You should have married me sooner.
Yeah.
So I was 32 when I had my first child, and Jackson didn't sleep to save his life.
Oh.
It became difficult quickly. My husband tore his bicep when I was 37 weeks. Like I was in labor, lifting weights.
I'm screaming.
I was in labor and he went to a pre-op visit to get his shoulder repaired. So that first 2 weeks was just a little bit of him take care of me, then you go do your surgery and I take care of you.
Yeah.
It was somewhat of a blessing because he ended up being off work more and we needed that for him to take care of our child. My mother came down to help us as well, and she's still helping us. It's 10 years later.
Your mama is the GOAT.
Is. But he didn't sleep. I tell people, I remember pushing a stroller around the house at 3 a.m. He didn't sleep. We hired a sleep consultant. We did all the things. And we would cross one bridge and get to another one. And over the years, he has been diagnosed with autism and dyslexia. And he is the most amazing kid. But his difficulties are there.
Yeah.
And we do so much to shield him that he doesn't even know he has these diagnoses.
Yeah.
He has no clue.
And so what if, because you initially thought that you would be a pediatrician, what do you think that this would have looked like if you were a pediatrician?
I don't know, because I don't like kids. I don't even know.
I am screaming. Now, how you thought you was about to be?
I had to figure out that I don't like kids.
Okay.
I think the part of me that wanted to be a pediatrician doesn't like to see kids sick.
Okay.
But I don't like
kids. That's real.
I don't.
But you wanted to be a mom?
I like my kids.
Right.
Enough. I love my kids.
A lot. But they not other people's kids. I understand. Listen, overstand. Okay, so, but in my mind, with a kid, I think sometimes when you know too much, you just don't know enough. And so then I feel like, when you become a mom, postpartum will hit you regardless.
Yes.
Regardless of what you know or what you don't know.
Absolutely.
So walk me through that process of you learning that your son is autistic and how are you able to help him? Or did you ever feel at a certain point that I am helpless? How am...
It was a very long process.
Yeah.
It was small things of him not wanting to talk to other kids, but being really smart and really smart, weirdly smart. Why are you this smart?
Yeah.
It's beyond cute. And so then my husband was kind of I think that you're doctoring. You're thinking too much into it. And then it became sensory things, and we would have different diagnoses. But ultimately it was, how can I help my kid? And so probably that started at 2, then we advanced and graduated from therapy, and then probably at the age of 4 he started having some behavioral issues, and he would say, I'm bad. I'm like, well, somebody's telling you bad, because I'm not telling you bad. How are you coming up with these things?
Yeah.
So we just constantly, it was a battle, and that is truly where I learned advocacy in a very different light, because ain't nobody gonna advocate for my kid.
And you're not gonna call him bad.
Right. And I had to just learn that God was really using us. And I pray, it's rough. because he is very high functioning. And so people look at him and don't see anything different. And that's always a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because he's the kid who has all the diagnoses but doesn't have enough. So
Yes.
schools don't give him enough accommodations. And so that process was always, how can I help? And
Yeah.
I had to tell my husband, I said, you know, God forbid there's something going on with him and we don't know it. And then schools start to label him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, is there a diagnosis that we should have versus these other people labeling my child? And that's
Yes.
not what I was going to have.
Yeah.
So that is also where I had to learn some boundaries for work. Because I'm like, if I'm setting these things for my child on these days, I'm not working.
Working. Yeah.
And so as my kids have needed me more, as those things have called me, and I'm just like, I live for Wednesday. Like, I live for Wednesday like Glorilla lived for Friday. Okay? Like, that's that. But it's usually because I'm going to therapy. I'm taking them to tutoring. I'm doing these things to help his life. Again, like, he doesn't know. He has no clue. I'll be like, bro, you got dyslexia. He'll be like, what? What you talking about?
Yeah.
But it's because as a parent, we have pushed to accommodate him so well and help him through those challenges.
To make him as independent as possible.
As he can be. And then the Lord gave us this really sassy daughter.
Yeah.
And she's the more difficult child.
I am screaming.
She is a lot. And she has the biggest personality.
Yeah.
She is her mother reincarnated. But she's a little mean sometimes too. So ultimately, we have to figure out how to parent twice because they don't need the same things.
Yes, yes.
And so that is difficult in parenting because we feel like we got it down with one and then boom, this other one show up and they need something completely
Totally
different. And that's why I always say, my brother-in-law asked me one day, he saw me just like fussing at the kids and I was on call and I'd come home for a little while. And I'm like, I'm going back to work.
Yeah.
And he was like, sis, what's worse, here at work? I say the truth is they don't always listen at work either, but at least they get paid.
Right.
I know my mama always
Gotta
says
show
the
up and
reward
fuss for free.
with parenthood, it does come.
Yeah.
And it does come, but there's a manual on how to take care of patients. There's really is not a manual on how to be a mama.
And then it's so annoying when you start getting advice from, like, parenting advice from people who've never met your kids.
And I'm like, that don't work for us. Or it works for one of them and it doesn't work for the other.
Yeah.
So we have had to really work to be intentional about how to parent them individually.
Yeah.
To make them just good citizens to the world, to be productive citizens.
How has parenting changed your marriage?
We had to learn how to remember to be husband and wife sometimes. Because sometimes we really are just in mommy and daddy mode.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get out of that. I feel like I can look back on my parents and I feel like the middle of the marriage is hard. And we're at the middle of a marriage.
Yeah.
The beginning is nice, it's easy, it's just you. And then you throw all of this other stuff. And then
you know
it's
what's so
sports, it's
funny?
homework. Oh my God, it's homework.
And then you say the middle of a marriage, but I don't even think that you understand, not you, but just in general, that people don't understand that the middle of a marriage is like 20 years. That's like 18 years.
It's like long span.
Yes, you're literally raising. It's a certain season that could last multiple decades.
Yes.
Yes.
And so we find time. Sometimes that time may be if he's on the bike and I get on the treadmill, just to have little time together that we're both trying to work out, but we're in the same space. We rely on babysitters because sometimes we like, we just need to go to dinner. And my kids be like, oh, we get a babysitter tonight. They be tired of us too. But I'm like, yes, you're getting a sitter. If we both put on something half decent, they be like, where y'all going? Are we getting a sitter? Yes, we need a break. We need some us time. And so it's just remembering that we're not just a mommy and a daddy, that we're a husband and a wife.
Yes. I love that. And so this year we'll make how many years with y'all? Married.
14 married in November.
Oh, wow. Do you have anything special planned for 15?
we kind of just live as we go. I ain't
One
thought
ghetto
that
day at
far
a
out.
time.
That's it. Yeah. No, I'll probably wake up in September that year and be like, oh, we're going to be 15 years in 2 months. We need to do something.
I think it hit us like in our 10th year that like, oh my gosh, we're about to be married for
Yes.
10 years. That's actually really dope. I love that.
We hit 10 years and we were working on our house. And so our architect asked us, she's like, what are y'all going to do for the anniversary? We'd be like, build a house.
Yeah. Oh, and y'all did. And it is beautiful.
Thank you.
For the little pieces that we get to see on, I love that. Okay. What is your biggest dream for your children?
That they will grow up and do what they love.
Yeah.
I think for them, there is some pressure. It is tough to have that, oh, your mom delivered my baby. Oh, this. And I don't want them to feel pressured that this is what they have to do.
Yeah.
My daughter's teacher sent me something and she was just like, I need you to know how your daughter feels about you. They have like a space day and they put their dreams into space. And she said, I want to be a doctor like my mommy so I can go to work and help her.
Oh my God.
And it hit me because, you know, sometimes we do this.
Yeah.
But I needed to know that she sees that. But also, I never tell her she needs to be a doctor or wants to be a doctor. What are you going to do that'll make you happy? I want you to be happy, be able to be independent. Yeah. And I think when you have a child that has some exceptionalities, you look at independence as a goal.
Yes.
Very differently that people
1,000,000%.
just take for granted.
1,000,000%.
So be happy, be a good citizen in the environment, and be independent, but love each other.
Yeah.
Like, I want to feel like they're always there for each other because that is huge for me and my siblings. And so I don't want them to ever lose that bond that they have already.
Are you really close to your sibling?
We are very close. And even to this day, my parents still say, when we go, just take care of each other.
Yeah.
And I get that. I
love that.
understand that because when I look at my kids, that's what I want.
Oh, yeah. One thing I love to see is my kids sleeping together and like hugging on each other. And yeah, it is. I don't think there's anything better than that.
It don't last that long, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, because we live together.
Yes.
But yes, I agree. I love that. So, friendship. I feel like every woman needs a tribe.
Yes.
And if not a tribe, at least one good gal in their lives. So who are your people? Why are they your people? What qualifies these people to be your tribe? You don't have to say names unless you want to.
I have a best friend from college. We met freshman year. Her name is Brandy. She's in Houston. She's my best friend. Just my best friend. We've been through it. We are line sisters. We have 25-year friendship. She is she knows everything. She knows all the details of mother, father, sisters, my husband, how we met, everything we went through. She is the fourth sister in my family. She is my oldest nephew's godmother. So she is.
She is.
And then I
girl.
have multiple tribes that have developed for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some of my friends that I have now is because of proximity and kids. Because unfortunately, when you have kids, you start showing up to kid party events. And so it's other friendships don't mean to fall off, but you do so much with your kids that you make friends for that. So I have my mommy tribes. I have doctor friends who are like, understanding your work thing. God has sent me some more friends when I was like, I'm done. I don't need no more friends. Because you get to that point in life. Yeah. You're like, I'm 40. I don't need to make friends. And I got a new friend 4 years ago who our kids mesh well together. She's also a physician. So when I'm crying about physician stuff, because my husband be tired of hearing it. I know he be tired of hearing it. He try to listen, but sometimes he be like, leave that at work.
Yeah, don't bring that energy over here.
So I have tribes for different things. And every now and then those tribes do get together. But for the most part, they end up being separate. But they know about each other. Like, it's not a secret. Like, I'll have one of my friends be like, I talked to Brandy about this already. Because, and I love that. Because ultimately, they're all just looking out for me.
Yeah. So when you have birthday parties, do you bring...
For myself?
Yeah.
I don't have birthday parties. But let's hypothetically.
Okay, hypothetically. If you were to do a birthday trip, you bringing all these women on this trip?
Not a trip. Not a trip. I don't necessarily think you can travel with everybody. But most of them, yes. I would have to leave a girlfriend or two.
Because what they doing?
would.
What would get a friend left back in Baton Rouge while you going to
She gonna be the friend that's up here. It's just like this not good enough. When you travel,
Yeah.
you have to look at everything. You gotta look at people's budgets.
Yeah.
People, and she gonna be like, I want to do this on this level. Baby,
Yeah.
listen, go by yourself. You're not coming.
Don't worry about it.
You're not coming.
Don't worry about it. We're gonna cut cake at the restaurant.
We'll send you
When we
pictures.
come back. Yeah, all right. and we're not doing a big dinner party, so we'll see you when we get back. All right. Wonderful. And so what does that trip look like for you? This is you turning 50 and you
45.
taking
Let's
a
do
trip.
45.
Why we be scared to age? Why we don't want to be 50?
I'm not afraid to age because I tell people the alternative is dying.
Correct.
So it's
And
not
also,
that.
midlife is not 50
It's
anymore.
not. It's not. So let's do 45.
All right, so let's say 45. We going on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these people?
So
What are they doing? Not who are they, because you not about to cause no drama today. You can't come on this trip because you be doing too much. Who are these women and what are y'all doing?
We are going on a trip with intentions of a spa. Now, I like to be adventurous and stuff, but a lot of my girlfriends be like, we're not doing all that.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
We're
We're going to
not
have
hiking.
a spa day, possibly a yacht day.
Okay.
We might cut up a little bit. It won't hit social media because I also like to keep some things private. And so there might be that we doing all that, but nobody
Yeah.
knows it. Nobody
Yeah.
needs to see it. Nobody needs to always see that side of me. That side of me is
Don't
there.
nobody need to see you at 7 p.m. on Friday.
95 degrees. Because I got a man and he got me. He got me and I got him.
Yeah.
But we are gonna have some relaxation. We are going to have some drinks. We are going to tell our stories and reminisce of the past. We're gonna have those moments where we go home and FaceTime our kids because we miss them. But I think my 45th, I want less adventure and more just relax.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your life is an adventure.
And it's probably, I could see me with 7, 8 of my girlfriends. Absolutely.
Oh, that's a good.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's
but
a lot.
that all
I'm
means
thinking like
so
a 9
much.
people on a trip.
That's a
You're
good
gonna have to
amount.
start planning with 20 people though, because
No.
you still black. So,
But
that-
I also, again, I know who to travel with.
okay, because I'm like that little list. I even find like even when you get older, that still happens.
It does.
I'm like, how are y'all still?
I think part of it is people know that I do things so infrequently
Yeah.
that if I'm truly like, yo, we doing, okay,
Right,
we gotta
right.
go.
Let's hop
gotta
on
go.
this bus. All right. So, final words to little Pam. What are you telling her now?
It all works out.
Get your triangle frame.
I mean, I still tell Big Pam that it all works out. That the things that you're going through, it's really just to teach you and try to learn something from every last one of them.
Yeah.
That you can do anything. That your mama was right. That you can do anything that you set your mind to. You can do anything, but you cannot do everything.
Yeah.
So pull back and stop trying to do everything. Continue to strengthen your relationship with God because your parents gave you that foundation and you got to know where to go. But this high school stuff that you're crying about, it don't matter. This friendship that didn't work out, it didn't work out for your good. Live life. Enjoy it. Enjoy it more. I think there are some things in life I could have enjoyed more. College wasn't one. I enjoyed college. But it works out.
Yeah.
And, you said earlier you pray that your desire will line up, that your prayers will line up with his desire for you. Like, I remind myself all the time that when I pray, we say, Lord, let your will be done. We need to learn to be okay with his will. Because we say, let your will be done, but that ain't really what we want sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we don't want his will, we want what we want. And so if there were one thing I could constantly tell myself is that be okay with his will.
Yeah.
Because it works out.
It always works out.
It doesn't necessarily work out how you want it, but it's how it's supposed to be. And I have to remind myself that this is how it's supposed to be. I've made some changes in my life that I can look back and say I should have done this sooner. But I'm like, nope. He kept you there for a reason, for a season, longer than you thought you should have, but that's where you were supposed to be, in that job, in that relationship, in that home. It's gonna change in his time, and quit worrying about why somebody got it faster than you, why somebody gets something that you don't think they deserve to have. That's not our decision to make. It works out, because little Pam has always stressed about her dream at 5.
Yeah.
I didn't dream of like marriage and kids. I dreamed of being a doctor, and but my dream now is to be a better mother and wife than I am a doctor. And I still have faith that that's gonna work out too.
It's gonna work out.
How do you know when you have mastered that?
When my kids are happy, when they are happy with me. Because I do feel like I don't make every patient happy. But on the whole, I make most happy with their care. But there are days that my children are not happy.
Yeah.
And they're kids. They're not going to be happy all the time. But I want to feel like when they get to that point of life of looking back, they know, like, yes, my mama did all she could to help us, to be there for us, to provide for us. And I don't know, as a mother, you ever feel like you mastered it.
Yeah.
I don't. I see my mom still look back and be like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mama, I'm just tripping today. You ain't doing nothing wrong. I'm just tripping today.
Yeah.
But if I can continually say, how do I give them the skills to be happy and independent, and look back and say, thank you, Mama. Those are those moments where I'm like, yeah, I did something good. I did something good.
I love that. Okay, my last and final question. What is next for you in the next one ghetto day at a time? So 5 years.
I don't know. And I don't say that as I don't know, I'm leaving medicine. That is not. I do feel like I am doing what I'm called to do here.
Yeah.
But sometimes God puts other things in my path along with that, where I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Finally, I step and be like, I did it. That was nice. I may continue to do that as well. So I don't know. I know that, my main goals is, again, being a great mother. And so if that means, do you step away some from work? Sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to. And I don't necessarily feel like I have to explain those decisions to patients, but they're like, part of the why are you not taking new patients is I need 2 less people on my schedule today to be a better doctor. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Yes.
I don't know. My 5-year plan is being open to what God presents to me. And that if that sends me in additional directions, because I don't want to say different directions. I do feel like I am on the path where I want to be. But if he brings other roads and guides into this lane that I'm in, being open to that in ways that can continue to help women, help Black women, educate them, give them better health care, while still being a good or better mother, daughter, sister, wife, and friend.
Can I say what I would like to see from you in the next 5 years?
Y'all be doing too much, because I've heard some people say some things, and I be like, I don't know. My therapist be want to prophesy over me, and I be like, Chantel,
Stop it. Okay, can I?
go on and say it.
Okay,
We
I
send by
think
thought, word,
that
and deed.
more people should hear from you. I would like to see, I would like for the world to get to know Dr. Pam. And maybe not in an intimate way, but I think that you have so much wisdom, and I think that you've done such an amazing job at what you do. And I think that there's so much that you can teach other people who want to pursue a career like yours. And so I do see you in front of a camera. I do see you in front of a huge audience, and I'm serious, with your husband in the back looking like security. Not your man.
Because he be there.
I know, just like this. I want Ross
Don't
to
do him.
I'm just kidding. I'm
yeah.
like, I know he laughed. Y'all, I've literally never met this man, but I think it's funny. I'm gonna have Ross to put a picture on the thing so y'all can see how secure he is.
I gave a speech once, a very small speech at a party, and someone said, your husband is always on his phone and he is never paying attention. She said, but when you got up to talk, he put that phone down and he was all attention to you. And
See, I can see that. You
yeah,
know,
it's just-
Beyonce's security guard, what's that man's name?
He is not a security guard.
Oh, what's he?
I'm talking about my husband.
Right, but that's whenever I see him, this is so crazy because again, I've never met your husband, but whenever I see the man who is Beyonce's security guard, it makes me think about your husband because I'm like, this man is always like, do whatever you do, just don't mess with this one, all right? And I love that for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, and I hope to see you more in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yay! And thank y'all for tuning in again to the Curate for Women Network, Completely Unconfused. We'll see you next time. Bye.